Like, boom, right? Back on the Podium Sports. Gonna give it to y'all the real way, the way y'all deserve it. So first, this was gonna be a Cowboy-centric video, right? So it's just gonna be a quick, because there's kind of a lot of stuff I haven't talked about, and there's some stuff I don't want to talk about. So first I want to talk about the Cowboys-Saints game. It was embarrassing what happened, and I'm really tired of talking about it. But I don't know how times I got to say it. But at the end of the day, like, Mike McCarthy is just not going to be the answer at head coach, right? We knew that last year, we knew that the year before, and we knew that the year before that, right? So 3 years. I've known that Mike McCarthy since like his first year. I could tell. I mean, when you have Aaron Rodgers for a whole decade, like how long? Like a whole decade, you're Aaron Rodgers, and you fail to do anything with him. They win one championship, right? Like, what does that say about you as a coach? Aaron Rodgers, and you win one championship, right? That means you and him can't show up in the playoffs, right? So that just tells me everything I need to know about Mike McCarthy. It was a stupid hire. The whole point of this just shows, and it's really embarrassing, and it shows that I think this is going to be one of the worst seasons for the Cowboys since in a long time. Like since they had since they had that bad season where they got Micah Parsons. I think it's going to be one of them. Like, because the schedule's tough. NFL gave them a tough schedule. They play a bunch of teams that are in the playoffs, or like teams like the Falcons who are probably going to be in the playoffs this year, right? Or going to, you know what I'm saying? So it's a very tough schedule, and then Mike McCarthy just continues to get outcoached at the highest of levels, and he cannot get his team ready. I don't understand what's so hard about getting your team ready to play at home. Like, I get on the road, it's hard, it's a tough environment, but at home, in front of your home fans, that's how you play. That's a little iffy to me. So that's why my understanding about Mike McCarthy. On top of that, we're going through D coordinator. He lost Dan Quinn. First y'all lost Dan Quinn, then y'all claimed he sabotaged the game. Trust me, that didn't happen. Y'all just didn't have the players to do what y'all needed to do to be able to stop the run. I really can't believe y'all Cowboys fans really said he sabotaged the game. Y'all would do anything to blame anybody but Jerry Jones or the coaches. Like, y'all would do anything to blame the coaches or Jerry Jones. No, Dan Quinn didn't sabotage the game. So I don't understand why that was even a talking point or like a rumor, because it was never true, bro. Like, that's just hilarious to me. But no, he did not sabotage the game. And Mike Zimmer, like, y'all hyped him up. Trust me, he didn't sabotage this game either. Y'all hyped him up to be all this. I thought y'all lose to the Browns. Y'all went and smoked Cleveland, who, I mean, Deshaun Watson just looks like a shell of himself. And as a Houston Texans, I think GM's wife said, like, we know who won that trade. It was the Texans, right? At the end of the day, the Browns kind of lost out, and then their window's not even open right now to me, right? They don't have a quarterback, so. But y'all went with the Browns in Cleveland and embarrassed them in the dog pound. And to come back to Dallas, I'm thinking y'all can go blow the Saints out. And for that to happen, this is literally a repeat of exactly what happened last year in Dallas versus the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. The Cowboys came into the game. Everybody thought they was gonna run somebody over. Me included twice. Now I'm done now. I don't care who it is. Cause I remember last year the same thing happened when y'all played Arizona, and it was just it was a fluke. Everything. Y'all won't blame anybody but the coaches and the players and the actual GM. Like, those are the people that are responsible. It was like, I remember y'all saw Carlos last year, and it was all I heard was it was a fluke, right? So it wasn't a fluke, right? That just tells you what kind of team y'all are. And the fact that y'all couldn't show up to beat the Cardinals last year, it should have just been obvious, really. But y'all go ahead, come back to Dallas. I'm thinking everybody thought y'all was going to run over the Saints, right? Or at least beat them. We ain't say got to blow them out, but at least beat them, right? And y'all looked horrible. 4 rushing touchdowns again. Kamara did the same thing Aaron Jones did to y'all. Ran the ball down your throat. And it was just a shredding, really. Receivers were wide open. He made some great catches, but there was a lot of plays where them dudes were just catching the ball and beating man coverage, beating zone. And they were just killing. I remember Shaheed had beat Donovan Wilson, and I think Jerron Kearse He ran like a post route, just right down the field. He outran both of them. Even Derek Carr talked about, I don't even know how he did that, because usually that's not normally how that play works. Like usually players aren't fast enough to just beat two dudes, right? So that was insane by Shaheed. But again, your secondary struggled, and then the lack of D tackles. Y'all have no D tackles on that roster. So Mark, and I'm trying to, having Micah Parsons is cool, but when he doesn't show up, that's where I'm like, that's why I'm an impasse with Micah Parsons. Because we could sit here and make excuses for him, but at the end of the day, he's going to come calling for dang near $200 million. If you don't believe me, Nick Bosa signed a $170 million contract 3 years after Myles Garrett signed a $120 million contract in 2020. Nick Bosa signed his $170 in 23, right? So what does that mean? For 2020 to 2023, the price went up for high-end defensive ends about $60 million, right? $60 million. So from 2023 to 2025 now is when Micah Parsons will get his contract. That's 2 years now. He's going to get, he'll be pushing dang near $200 million, right? So that's just what it's going to be. And I'm going to get to Micah Parsons' contract in a second. I just don't understand, y'all don't have and it's great that y'all have an offensive line, but y'all do not have a defense. They don't have any defensive tackles that can stop the run and clog up lanes. Y'all just don't. And so y'all don't have the personnel to be able to execute. Y'all almost want to, that's a problem in Dallas. Y'all don't have the personnel to stop the run and let these defensive ends tee off at the quarterback. And if you don't have that personnel, you cannot, it doesn't matter how good of a coach you have, you can't do what you want to do. So that's the big thing for Dallas. That's what y'all got to understand. And at the end of the day, that's on Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones for not constructing the roster the right way. But also for Micah Parsons, I don't understand how in games like these, just twice now, we've seen him at home disappear, completely gone. So for Micah Parsons, it's that's why I'm impasse, because you're going to come calling for dang near $200 million, if not more, right? Dang near quarterback money, right? Quarterback money. But in games where we need you to show up, you're not there, right? So I just don't understand where Dallas is going to. That's why I'm at an impasse with Micah Parsons, because, when your teammates take you off the podcast, are they lying? Because in games like this, you didn't show up. I didn't see Micah Parsons at all. He's still missing, right? He's still missing. So I just don't understand. And look, I don't understand what that problem is for him. And he can go on this podcast, look, I'll take ownership. You can own it all you want. Whether you own it or not, we don't need you to go on a podcast and say that. That doesn't change anything. What I always say is, you could be sorry about it, but what matters is if you fix it or not. Because if you don't fix a problem, you can be sorry all you want. But if the Cowboys don't fix that problem of stopping the run, it doesn't matter. Because let me tell you right now, if they don't fix that problem, it's going to be a lot of sorry, and apologies for Micah Parsons here on this podcast. So that's just going to be his whole podcast. They're going to make an hour-long segment of every game, Micah Parsons saying sorry. That's just going to be the whole thing. I'm just going to be dead serious if they don't stop the run. But they have to stop the run. So that's the big thing for me with Dallas. And on top of that, I'm sorry, but this year, Dallas has to go. This is where I think y'all messed up. Y'all should have went and got Worthy. I just think they should have went and got Worthy over another receiver. It ain't going to be in the first round. But this is a generational receiver class. You could have got one in the second, third, fourth round. The Jets got Malachi Corley. I promise you he'd be the second best receiver on the Cowboys right now. I can promise you that. If not third best at worst. I'm not sold on they can hype up Jalen Tolbert. I got to see it to believe it. I don't think he's all that, right? I just think he's an below average receiver. He's not all that, bro. So the next thing for Dallas is going to be, because at the end of the day, yeah, what Lamb did was cool. And it was obvious I don't know why teams kept playing man-man coverage. Like late in the year, the Lions kept playing man-man with him. I don't know why you're putting man-man. Why are you going man-man? You have Deion Sanders guarding. You have Deion Sanders on your team. That made no sense. It was the stupidest thing ever. But, that's a Lions thing to do. Even when they're good, they still do dumb stuff. So they went man-to-man. A lot of teams did it even late in the season after everybody saw CD tearing it up. So now teams have adjusted, all right? So that's why I always say, the first year you can surprise people. The second year you're not going to catch nobody by surprise now. Now people know what Lamb's going to do. So now for Lamb, right, it's who else is going to show up? Because, especially without Jake Ferguson, if he comes back, great, that's going to help. But you still need another receiver outside of Lamb. I don't think y'all have one. Brandon Cooks is cool, but he's not a number 2 on a championship level team, right? So that's just flat out. So the Cowboys, and it's embarrassing because running backs and receivers are the easiest thing to draft. and the Cowboys have struggled to draft them and retain them. So that's what is crazy to me. And then so that's just wild to me. But that's the thing about Dallas, because what teams are doing now is they're double teaming Lamb. So safety help over the top with a corner in front, bracket coverage, boom, Lamb's done. As good as Lamb is, he's just not beating double coverage. Right, he's gonna have his time to make plays. I'm not saying that and to put up yards, but this season is gonna be very hard, especially with the supporting cast around Lamb. And on top of the other thing, y'all can't run the ball consistently. So what are the two recipes for a championship team? Right, for a team that wants to win Super Bowl: run the ball, stop the run. If you can't do those two things, you will not win a championship. Y'all can't run the ball. Zeke should start running back, and he's a fullback. And you can't stop the run. I'm sorry, but Osei Odigizua isn't a run stopper. So that's just like that's why I gotta understand the way this roster has been constructed has been horrible, and now it's gonna come back to bite y'all at the end of the day. So now I want to take this into my next part is Micah Parsons' contract, right, where I mentioned earlier. I'm trying to figure out, right, CD signs what, $136 million. Dak signs for 4 years, $240 million. Trevon Diggs signed last offseason for 5 years, $100 million. I'm trying to figure out where the heck Micah Parsons is going to get his money from, right? I don't know where Micah Parsons is going to be getting hit. I'm just trying to figure that out, right? I just don't think, I think the Cowboys forgot they have a cap, right? So that's what I'm trying to understand. Y'all paying all these dudes, right? And by the way, none of them showed up in the playoffs, which is just hilarious to me. But y'all paying all these dudes. And where was Trevon Diggs last week? And it was crazy. Trevon Diggs shut your mouth because he was talking. Oh, he said he's a fine receiver, something like that. He's okay, he's good, whatever. And he was kind of like throwing some shade at Chris Olave. What do he got to say now? He needs to keep his mouth shut. You're not that guy. You don't need to be talking trash, especially coming off an injury after a year. And you got torched. Your whole secondary got torched. You doing a little mass celebration. Man, get out of here, dude. Like, he was throwing some shade at Olave. And I think, and I want to see what he got to say now. All right, what you got to say now? Because Olave and Rashid Shaheed torched you, buddy. So I just want to say that real quick. But for Micah Parsons, I just understand where this money is going to come from, right? Because right now the Cowboys have $30 million in cap space. People are going to have to go, right? I just going to have to be flat out. But I just don't know how you're going to, you just paid, Trevon just got $5 years, $100 million last offseason. Dak got 2 years, $440 million. $240 million this year. 4 years, $240 million. CD got 4 for $136. So that's over $300 million in contracts that y'all signed. Plus, like really 350 plus. Like y'all signed with y'all's top players on the roster. But at the end of the day, there's a cap space. So I don't understand where the Cowboys are gonna get money to pay Micah Parsons. That's my big question, right? Where is money gonna come from? How is this gonna work? So that's my next concern for Dallas is I think this is all going to fall apart real fast and it's going to get real ugly real fast. Because if y'all continue on the trend y'all on, I mean, if y'all can't beat the Saints, y'all are really in for it. If y'all can't beat the Saints at home, y'all are really in for a long one. I'm going to be honest. So the next question is, if this gets ugly, like I think it will, and I think it can, I think we all know that, then, y'all have don't make the playoffs, then Mike McCarthy gets fired. I mean, I hope y'all know these players have social media, right? Like, they see this, right? Like, if Mike McCarthy gets fired, y'all looking for a new head coach, and you're also trying to sign Micah Parsons to a contract, like, that now this becomes a dysfunctional organization. And who was Micah Parsons hanging out with all summer and all season long? That's now looked to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, has a chance to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and has a chance to be in the face of the franchise in the same state as Dallas, as not too far from Dallas, is C.J. Stroud. It's not a coincidence these two dudes, by the way, I watched broke the whole first round draft down together. I mean, it wasn't just they were breaking it down draft. They was cracking jokes. They was doing it all, right? Everybody knows they was podcasting, going to games together, events, all that kind of stuff. That's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence, bro. It's the same thing when LeBron and Steph went to Team USA, and now everybody's like, oh, now everybody's like, oh, could LeBron and Steph team up? When you're around somebody for a long period of time, and then you have to go separate, you're like, ooh, especially as a team, like, we've seen that before. Like, it's like, well, man, I was around this dude, I kind of like him. Like, that's a cool dude. I wouldn't mind playing with him. And then for Stephen, they actually, Micah Parsons didn't even play football together. They just talk trash about each other. But Stephen actually played together. And now everybody's like, oh, can Stephen and LeBron team up? And everybody's thinking like, at some point in the next couple of years, they're going to team up, right? I think the same, like, that's not a coincidence that they all went to play Team USA together. This stuff doesn't happen coincidentally. Like, players talk, right? Y'all just don't see it. We just don't hear it at the end of the day. But they have conversations. I think the same thing it's not a coincidence that Micah Parsons was hanging out with C.J. Stroud for all off season. It's just not. Remember, C.J. Stroud doesn't have a massive quarterback contract, right? So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we've seen players take pay cuts. He may not get the $20 million he wants, but if he gets, if they could find a way to get him 140, 150, around Nick Bosa, 160, 170, around that range, maybe between like 140, 170, 180, like somewhere around that range. And he would probably honestly take a pay cut. I think Micah Parsons is going to end up in Houston, just because I don't see a path to how Dallas is going to pay him, especially if the season goes awry and Houston is potentially going to make a Super Bowl run and win the Super Bowl and make a Super Bowl run, and Dallas is going to be in the process of looking to hire a new head coach. And Micah Parsons in a contract here saying, look, we done got eliminated playoffs every year I'm here, and now we didn't make the playoffs this year. That's my big concern, right? So I think, and that's why I think Micah Parsons is going to end up in Houston, right? Because these players talk at the end of the day, and he knows what's going on in Houston. We ain't blind to it. Like I said, he knows Diggs and them all there. So I think Micah Parsons is going to end up in Houston one way or another. I think he's going to now force his way there. I think that's where he really wants to be. And I think he's keeping it as a backup plan. Like, if things don't work out here, I go somewhere. Remember, he's from Pennsylvania. He went to Penn State. Like, he's from Pennsylvania. He has no ties to Dallas or Texas. There's no ties for him to stay here. There's no reason for him to be here. Like, so he can really go anywhere. There's no like, so I think Michael Parsons is going to end up in Houston, take the pay cut, and go contend for a championship in Houston. That's not the thing about it. You don't got to go far. You got a championship quarterback who's not getting paid major money, so they can take, instead of taking that money, you have to pay a quarterback. You give him that kind of quarterback money. Boom. Right? I think that's something. I think Michael Parsons could end up in Dallas. In Houston. Just something to keep an eye out on, right? Because I just don't see a way how Dallas is going to pay Michael Parsons. I just don't see it. Especially if you fire the head coach. Coaches are being cleared out now, and you're coming in with a whole new coaching staff. And then you're talking about potentially a rebuild? Good luck. Good luck. You think Michael Parsons is going to sign up for that? The caliber of player he is? Oh, get out of here, man. Like I said, I think this season is going to... I think things are going to get very bad very quickly here for the Cowboys very soon. I just think, man, I think they should have fired Mike McCarthy last year and hired a new guy, because it's obvious when you have Aaron Rodgers for a decade and you don't do nothing with him, that you don't know what you're doing at the end of the day. Like, at the end of the day, it's been obvious. We're on year 5 of Mike McCarthy. If we really know, if you know, you know. He's been trashed since year 1. It's been obvious. But y'all keep falling for the same lies, the same things, the same crap they're telling y'all. He's not the answer at the end of the day. Like, I'm just sorry. Like, it is what it is. Y'all forget Jerry Jones fired when he bought the Cowboys. The Cowboys won 2 Super Bowls. And back in my day, way back in my day, right? Back in my day, the Cowboys won 2 Super Bowls. They were the dominant team. The coach won 2 Super Bowls, and Jerry Jones fired the guy. That's like firing Andy Reid. So what makes y'all think he's ever going to hire a coach that's going to be able to win y'all championships? Like, I was going to say that for another video, or maybe in the offseason or something, or later on in the season. But just some stuff y'all got to start thinking about as fans. It's just like, start adding stuff up. What makes y'all, like, I think that he keeping Mike McCarthy around for a reason, right? Now, I think this is going to be his last year, right? Especially if y'all don't make the playoffs, which I don't think y'all will. NFC is better than y'all think, and y'all schedule is harder than y'all. People are not telling y'all how hard y'all schedule is. So I think I think it's gonna get ugly pretty fast. I just don't think guys like Micah Parsons or CeeDee Lamb are gonna be willing to stick around for a rebuild. at the end of the day. And you don't want it to those guys. You don't want those guys to be around for you, but you want to go get first round picks anyway. So, but like I said, we'll see what happens. But I will say this: I think CeeDee Lamb made a mistake signing that 4-year contract because I don't see him playing that contract out in Dallas. I think he made a mistake as a young player. I think it's gonna, especially if Parsons and them leave. Like I just think he is, I think Parsons not gonna sign him. That's why he's not even gonna sign it. He may play next year, or not even on his just regular fifth year contract as a rookie. He might not, because he's like, I'm not gonna be here for much longer. So why would I lock in and then let them have the control? I think CeeDee Lamb made a mistake signing that contract at the end of the day, because it's not, So that's just how I feel personally. But like I said, I think things are gonna get ugly very fast. I think Micah Parsons is gonna somehow, some way. I think if it's not Houston, it'll be somebody. But I have a feeling that, man, the same way everybody talks about Steph and LeBron, I feel that with C.J. Stroud, it's almost like the same thing. Like they were a lot around each other all off season, right? So I think that, like I said, wasn't a coincidence for that either. I think Micah Parsons is gonna end up in Houston, and go try to go win a championship over there. And with a quarterback. I mean, and look, at the end of the day, like when CeeDee Lamb's mom and loved him, the trashing Dak Prescott on social media. Like, I'm not going to get into it, but y'all got to start seeing stuff for how it is. Anybody can come out and say, oh, blah, 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 don't listen to that, don't look at that. When his mom and his loved ones are coming out and trashing Dak Prescott, like, who do you think they're getting that information from? Who do you think's telling them that? Who do you think's saying that? CeeDee Lamb. And his mom saying, oh, blah, blah, can't just see this Dak Prescott, he sucks, he blah, blah, he's the worst, he ain't no good, blah, blah, blah. Ripping his head, and CD's like, oh yeah, he don't worry, but it's all right. I want my big fat contract. Don't worry, I don't get my big fat contract. It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna get my big fat contract. It's gonna be all right. No, don't worry, Mom. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna get a big fat contract, $140 million. Don't worry. We're gonna get that contract though. We're gonna get that contract. So that's just what it is. Like, it's not a coincidence. Then people go on social media talking about Dak and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? She ain't just come up with that. You tell me she ain't told CD that and they ain't had discussions about it. She watched the games too. Like I say, these players talk. Y'all just don't hear it and don't see it. And when y'all see it, y'all ignore it. But I'm not going to get too much into that. But y'all just got to start thinking and open your eyes to what's really going on with the Cowboys and a lot of NFL teams too. They show y'all true colors. Ravens, y'all right there with them. And it felt like, so I'm not going to get in that either. But maybe if you had some receivers, y'all could have won some championships. But I'm just going to there. Boom, Cowboys. Y'all got a long one. I was going to preview Cowboys Ravens. I ain't going to preview it. Give me Ravens. I'll say that. I think Ravens probably going to beat y'all. Until I just see it, like especially at home, I just don't believe in what's going on. I think Mike McCarthy's going to get out coached. And the Ravens are down 0-2. They need a big win. I think it's going to come up. They're going to come get a win. If y'all lose to the Ravens, 1-3, 1-2 is going to be it's going to be pretty rough. Because you can say, oh, we're gonna go 2-2. I think I play the Giants after that or whatever. But man, if you're a Cowboys fan or you think I'm lying, go look at the Cowboys schedule, bro. That is a real deal schedule. That is a real schedule that's going to challenge you. It's going to be tough. And a lot of playoff teams or teams are going to be in the playoffs this year on that schedule. I just think it's going to be a long season. If you couldn't beat the Saints, I think you really got a long season coming. I'm just going to be flat out. So that's the only thing they can hope for is that the Eagles could lose and somehow they win the division, because that's the only way they get into the playoffs. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, Dallas, I got a lot of work to do, man. I can't lie. I think y'all was at thinking the playoffs. Y'all making the playoffs consistently, but I think that time's coming to an end now. It's gonna be flat out. Things coming to an end. So yeah, we'll see y'all next one. I'm out.